So you've got two problems here. You've got China's claim to the Shandong Peninsula based on the raising of 140,000 laborers and based on the fact that it is indisputably 99% ethnically Chinese. So if the Western powers meant what they said about national self-determination, if they meant what they said about the right of people to determine their own future, there should be no question that the Shandong Peninsula should go to China. And beautifully, wonderful anecdote, our friend William Lynn Westerman happened to be on the same ship going to Paris as the senior Chinese diplomat at Versailles, at the Paris Peace Conference, a man by the name of Wellington Koo. And he recorded their conversation, in which Westerman said to Wellington Koo, I don't even know what you're worried about. There probably won't even be a discussion. Shandong's Chinese, it's going to China. And Wellington Koo said to Westerman, we'll see about that. I'm not yet convinced. Japan made the argument that China had agreed to this concession of the Shandong Peninsula through a treaty, something called the 21 Demands, and that if the First World War had been about anything at all, it had been about upholding international treaties. Therefore, Japan deserved Shandong. Not only that, Japan was sitting there. Then the Japanese did something really clever. They introduced, or talked about introducing, a clause into the final treaty called the Racial Equality Clause. All it would say is that all of the races around the world should be equal in front of the law. A very simple clause. Now, if you know anything about Woodrow Wilson, if you know anything about the British Empire, if you know anything about the French Empire, you'll know it's not that simple. This meant that the Allies had two choices. They could reject the Racial Equality Clause, in which case the Japanese could go to the people of Asia, as they did, and say, look, they don't mean equality for you. They mean that the imperial system will continue despite the war. Or the Allies can accept the Racial Equality Clause, in which case people around the world, from Wilson's own state of Virginia to the British Empire in India to the French Empire in Indochina, will demand equality. They can't do it. So now they've got them on the horns of a dilemma. What the Japanese are trying to do is force the Allies to accept Japanese control of Shandong in exchange for Japan taking off the table the Racial Equality Clause.